My name is Nicole Duche, and I'm an attorney in Franklin. And I actually own my own law practice. I have an associate. And so, what that means is we kind of share office space, we share expenses, but we are actually our own separate law offices. We're just in the same buildings. And we mostly practice criminal defense and juvenile law. We also help people with wills and estate planning. I went to school at Vanderbilt for undergrad, and I always had an interest in the law then. I took a lot of sociology classes. My major was actually human and organizational development with a focus in public policy. And so I always thought I would work for the government. But I actually started a second major in sociology because I liked the sociology classes so much. And a lot of them were geared toward criminal justice. A lot of them were geared toward corrections. And so I actually always thought I would do something along those lines and work for the government. And I did an internship between my junior and senior year at the district attorney's office in Nashville. And that's when I really decided I wanted to actually do law and be a lawyer and and everything. And that's when I decided I really wanted to be a prosecutor. And so I worked there, and then they actually hired me during my senior year of college. And I worked there on, I didn't have class on Fridays. And so I worked there every Friday. And then after college, I had applied for law school at the University of Wisconsin, which is my home state. And I always intended to go back there. But the DA's office hired me full time, not as a lawyer, but as a victim witness coordinator. And so instead of going to school at that time, I decided to actually get some experience for a while. And so I did that for about 2 years and then decided that yes, I still wanted to be a lawyer. And so I actually went to the Nashville School of Law, and I worked full time while I went to school at night. The first couple years, I think it was 3 days a week or 2 days a week. It was 2 days a week at first at night, going to law school for 4 hours at night. And then the last 2 years was actually 3 days a week. So it was a lot of work. About halfway through my law school, I actually took a job at the DA's office in Williamson County, which covers four different counties right now. It's the 21st district. And so we covered Williamson, Hickman, Lewis, and Perry counties. And I actually took that job with a big pay cut so that I could get experience actually handling cases. And I got to practice law as a law school student under supervision, something that the Supreme Court allows us to do as long as you're supervised by another lawyer. And so I did that for the remainder of my law school, and ultimately got hired by the district attorney's office in Williamson County as a prosecutor, which was kind of my dream job. And then eventually, though, in 2017, I left that office and opened up my own law practice. Prior to COVID, I would say 3 to 4 days a week I'm in court. Usually that means getting to court somewhere around 8:30 or 9 o'clock. And then most courts are done by noon, depending on what happens. Most of the work that I do is actually negotiating. I do handle a lot of litigation. That's what I've always done. But most of the time it's negotiations, and that's just how court usually is you negotiate with the other side, whether that's you're representing someone in a criminal case and you're negotiating with the prosecutor for the state, or if you're handling a civil case, you spend a lot of time negotiating with the other attorney. On the days that I'm in the office, it's a lot of writing because it's something that you really have to catch up on. You know, you have to file motions, you have to file notices, you have to file orders. And so if I'm not in court, I'm at my computer and typing a lot. I would say helping people is probably the number one thing, because that's every job that I've done, that is why I've done it. Just knowing that I'm able to help someone else through the system. So, like, when I was a prosecutor, knowing that I was helping victims of crime get through the system and really get justice, that was important to me. And then now, even though I'm on the other side, um, just helping my clients get through. I'm a really firm believer in the Constitution. So, no matter how guilty someone might be, they still do have the right to go through the process in a fair way. And a lot of times it's just helping them get through a really hard time in their life. It might be helping them get the best outcome possible in their case. Sometimes it's having a trial and asserting their right to have a trial. But usually people just want the help, and that's why they hire an attorney. And sometimes I hate to say it, but it's almost like being a little bit motherly in a way, because most people who are in the system, they haven't been in it before for whatever reason it is, whether it's a civil case because someone did something wrong to them, or it's a criminal case. Either they're wrongfully accused or they just made a big mistake and now they have to get through it. There's all types of different scenarios, but the bottom line is they just want help through the process, and that always makes me feel good, because with me, it's always nice to win. Of course, like I love winning, and that's a great thing about the job when you do win. But a win isn't always about actually winning a case, like at trial and getting the best verdict. Sometimes a win is just either getting what the client wanted or helping them get through it and making sure that they had a fair process. So it's probably something that people don't think about very often. But when I was in junior high and high school, I did a lot of theater. And so I was acting on stage a lot. I did dance and I did musicals and plays and everything. And that is probably something that prepared me, at least for my type of law, because I am in a courtroom all the time and I do have to talk in front of a lot of people. Even just going to court for the smallest thing, you have to stand up in front of everyone and, recite something to the judge. And so I think that really helped me in my path toward law, even though you wouldn't put two and two together that they'd be related. So, one thing that's unusual, I think, is when you are an attorney, especially a litigation attorney like me, where you are on a side, you are always going to have someone on the other side of you. And it often involves a fight. You argue a lot, and that's part of it. Um, but I think that people would probably be surprised that even maybe my worst enemy in the courtroom outside of court could be my best friend. And so, even though while at work and while in the courtroom or even while negotiating, you have to take a side and you argue and you fight. When it's all done, we can still all go to lunch together. And so that might be something that's surprising.